Jigsaw puzzles have been around since 1762, and crossword puzzles have been around since 1913. So it only makes sense that at some point somebody would think to combine them. And so today I'm going to be diving into the weird world of crossword jigsaw puzzle hybrids. There have been a lot more than you think. I personally have 5 of them. Also, it's almost Mother's Day and my mom is incredible at crossword puzzles. I swear she knows every single word in the English language. I personally do the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday New York Times crossword, and then it gets a little too hard for me. So, okay, I don't know exactly how many of these I'm gonna solve in this video. We're gonna take it one at a time and just see how it goes. But make sure you stay tuned until the end because I did a lot of research into other crossword jigsaw puzzles that I don't have, and there are some really wacky and interesting ones in there. So I'll talk about those at the end, but right now I'm going to do a puzzle that is way earlier than the puzzles I usually feature on here. This is from the 1930s. Okay, so this is a cross jig puzzle. It is 3 in 1. It is 2 jig puzzles and a crossword puzzle. Interesting how our language has changed. Now we'd call that a jigsaw puzzle, and crossword wouldn't have the hyphen in it. Apparently it only cost 25 cents. It's only about 300 pieces, so it's not gonna take that long to put together. If we look at the sides of the box, you can see all of the information about where this came from. I guess there's not really that much information on here, but it was printed in the USA, and this one is called Nocturne. And speaking of Nocturne, look what else I have that I bought on eBay ages ago. Check that out. It's the exact same puzzle. This is like an ad for this exact puzzle. So I would assume that these boats is what we're gonna be putting together on one side of the puzzle. There's no more information on the bottom of the box, so I'll put that aside. So you can see that these pieces are like random cut, and on one side is gonna be a picture, probably those boats, and then on the back we have some kind of crossword puzzle. Oh, here we go. On the back of these, we have some kind of drawing. I don't know how that interacts with the crossword puzzle. I also don't see any clues. I just see letters filled in to a crossword puzzle. So was this supposed to come with like a printed out sheet of clues or like a printed crossword puzzle of some kind? I don't know. So I'm gonna solve this puzzle in just a minute. But first, I want to tell you how you can make your own Mother's Day crossword jigsaw with the sponsor of today's video, Puzzle U. So I was really thinking about a creative way that you could use Puzzle U's custom puzzle service for Mother's Day. I got this one made with photos of me and my mom, and I'm gonna be sending it home to her. So that's all well and good, but if your mom is like my mom and likes crossword puzzles, you could get a crossword puzzle printed onto a jigsaw puzzle. And it just so happens that I made a crossword puzzle that you're welcome to use. I actually designed this crossword puzzle for Mother's Day a couple years ago, and just now I went ahead and added some extra design elements to make it more fun to do as a jigsaw puzzle. To use it, you can download the image that I'm gonna link right down below, and then you just upload it to Puzzle U's custom puzzle tool as if it was a photo. I got it printed as a 500 piece puzzle, which I think is a good difficulty for this one. But wait, another cool thing that Puzzle U offers is that you can actually get it printed without the picture on the front of the box. So your mom is gonna have no idea what picture she's putting together, and it'll be such a fun surprise as she sees the crossword puzzle come together. And then, without the picture on the box, once she has finished the jigsaw puzzle, this isn't particularly rare or vintage or valuable, so you can go ahead and just solve it right on the puzzle. I'm giving you permission. I'm not gonna get mad at you. So Puzzle U is super fast. They will deliver your order in a week or less. So if you wanna get one, you can use my code KarenMay23 for 23% off your order. And that is valid in a bunch of different countries. So, all right, now let's get back to our 1930s puzzle. Oh wow, look at these piece shapes. That's beautiful. Oh my god, this has been a much bigger undertaking than I thought. I now see how these puzzles would have entertained people in the 30s before there was like Netflix. So it's been like an hour and this is as far as I've gotten. There are a couple things happening here. First, I am so happy that I bought this because if I did not have a picture to work on, I guarantee you I would have given up by now. Second, I am definitely missing a lot of pieces. Like there's this whole chunk up here that is just not in this puzzle. And since it's a random cut and the pieces don't lock together, that just makes it even harder. Also, since the pieces don't lock together, I should have done it on a felt board because these just keep sliding around, so it's so hard to see the actual shape that I'm trying to make. So originally, I was gonna just do this and then take it apart and then do it again, but from the back. But guys, I don't think I can do that. I think once I'm done, I'm just gonna flip it over. I'm gonna cheat, I'm just gonna flip. Okay, so that didn't quite go according to plan. Look at how many pieces are missing. This is crazy. If it was just like one or two, I'd be like, fine, it's been around since the 30s, but like, this is so wild. But okay, this is the part that I have been the most excited about. Like, this is the whole point of this video. We're gonna find out what the cross part of the cross jig puzzle looks like. So I'm just gonna flip the whole thing over onto my felt board this time so the pieces don't keep moving around. Okay, I like how it looks like there's gonna be either a gradient or some kind of color difference between the top and the bottom. That would have definitely made it a lot easier. But now, these are the only parts that locked together. So from here, I'm literally gonna have to move these one piece at a time. What is my life? Okay, so as I started flipping this over, I was like, I wonder if this would have been easier if I had just done it from this side from the start, because we have this gradient, we have these bars on the side, but then I look at just how many pieces have their backs entirely ripped off. So it would have been like there was another, what, like 15 missing pieces? I actually want to know in the comments, if you were doing a vintage puzzle like this and you started to realize just how many missing pieces there were, would you have finished it? Okay, so it looks like I really did just get burned on this puzzle, because one quick Google search later, and yes, it is supposed to come with a printed crossword. And these aren't even that rare or expensive. There are copies on eBay right now selling for $4 to $25. It's just one of the risks of buying vintage puzzles. We saw it happen last year with the Halley's Comet puzzle. You know, sometimes it doesn't turn out the way you hoped. It's a lot of pieces to keep track of for the last almost 100 years. So let me just take you through a couple photos to show you what this puzzle could have been. So for this specific puzzle, number 16, I could only find low quality photos of the completed puzzle. So instead, let's look at number 18, called Fine Feathers, which seems to be the most common one sold online. The picture on the front is just of two parrots, but then this is what we were missing. Look at these beautiful instructions. I love the typography, the layout, and if you read it, sure enough, you're supposed to solve the picture first, then you can take it apart and solve the printed crossword, and then you can put together the back, the crossword jigsaw puzzle, as the answer key. So kind of the whole point of this video is that I wanted to be able to share these crossword puzzles with you, so I retyped it into a PDF. You can download that right down below and try it out for yourself. But if you are going to try it, you're going to want to skip to this time code in the video, because I'm about to show the answer key. Okay, everyone good? No one else is still planning to do it? So here is the back of the puzzle, which is the answer key. Again, you can see how they added a gradient, which would make it way easier to solve as a jigsaw puzzle. And you can really see the piece cut here, how they basically just cut wavy lines all the way through the center. That's a little different from mine, number 16, which has a lot more bumps and lumps throughout the puzzle cut. Also, the back of mine is different with these illustrated black bars on the sides, and the black squares in mine are striped rather than solid like in number 18. Also, I noticed that there aren't any numbers on this answer key. I guess that makes it so you can't just put the numbers in order, and it makes for a cleaner looking design once you have all of the letters in there. So, okay, I found one photo of puzzle 17 online, but unfortunately, I couldn't find any other puzzles in this series. So maybe they started at 16 and only released 3 of them, or maybe by the end of the series they weren't as popular, so these are the only ones that survived. I don't know, but either way, I need to get another copy with a guarantee that all of the pieces are there and try it again on this channel, so I can redeem the cross jig puzzle. Okay, this next puzzle is one that I have been so excited to do. This is the Crossword Jigsaw game, and it was released by Lawson & Lawson. So the box really doesn't give us a whole lot of clues about what we're getting into. All it says is an entirely new concept in puzzles. There's nothing on the back. If we open it up, nothing in there. Okay, so we have a bag of pieces, and then we have all of our crossword puzzle clues. So you can see all the clues here, and they also tell us how long the answer is going to be. And then on the back, I believe, yes, this is just the answer key. I love that header. Answers, stop peeking. Now, the weird thing about these puzzle pieces, and I think I mentioned this the first time I showed this puzzle in a video, look at the bevel here on the side. This is the front of the puzzle piece, and this is the back. So they printed it on the back of the puzzle, and nothing is printed on the front. Also, you can see here that we have these empty boxes in the crossword puzzle. And so I'm pretty sure that instead of this being a regular crossword, what you have to do is figure out the answer to each clue, and then you put that number on the grid where it matches up with where that answer is on the grid. So the numbers in the grid are not going to end up going in numerical order. So I'm pretty sure that's how this crossword is going to work, but let's put the jigsaw puzzle together and then we can investigate further. Oh man, this puzzle is also no joke. It's been almost an hour and I only just finished the sorting. I haven't actually put anything into the puzzle yet. So I did finish the edge. That went together fairly quickly. And originally I was starting to lay out all of the pieces here next to the puzzle. I decided to finish the edge first just so I could see like how much space I had left on the board. And then I decided to separate the pieces by letter. Inside the puzzle, I put all of the vowels, A, E, I, O, U. And then you can see here, everything else is organized alphabetically. And since they're letters, everything is already right side up, so I won't have to rotate any of these pieces. Even for letters like O, you can see that all of the letters are towards the bottom of the boxes, so I was able to tell what direction all of these pieces were going to go in. And you can see how a lot of the pieces have little bits of letters, so that one's probably an E or an F. And also, since everything is right side up, for something like this, when I know there's going to be a black bar at the top, it is really quick to just scan over all the pieces, and I actually already spotted that piece. So that fits in right there. Looks great. So it's definitely going to be tricky, but I think it's really interesting. I'm feeling optimistic going into this at this point. So let's do a little bit more and see how it actually goes. Oh man, I just worked on that for 2.5 hours. I'm up to 3 hours, 41 minutes, and 9 seconds. But I've definitely made a ton of progress, and it's going faster and faster now that there are way fewer pieces to look at for each spot. I'm pretty sure I am missing this piece though, because that has to be an L, right? For split, but none of my L pieces would fit in that spot. So I think I'm just missing that piece. And this puzzle, I think, was made in the early 70s. So there are definitely some words where I'm like, is that a reference? I don't know that word. Myothmis? Myothmis? I'm gonna look that word up right now because I need to know what it means. Oh my god. Okay, this puzzle has officially fried my brain. It is my oh my's. As if you're like, my oh my, what a crazy puzzle. But I'm really, really liking this puzzle. I think it's so interesting combining a jigsaw puzzle because there are spots where even if these weren't letters, if it was just like a random pattern, you could use the pattern of the grid to figure out how it goes together. So it does work as a jigsaw puzzle. But then also having essentially each piece be a single letter. So here we can be like, that could be an H. That could be an O, that could be a B, that could be a P. Like with this one coming down here, I had the EMPA and the Y, and so I was like, that has to be empathy. And so I looked for the T and the H, and I found them super quickly. What is that? Ooh, could it be boo? Or moo? So, okay, I have like a million emails that have come in that I have to reply to. And I keep being like, my emails later. I'm working on my puzzle now, but I think I'm gonna call it for the night and I'll come back in the morning and finish this up. Okay, it's not even 9 a.m. yet, but I'm so excited to get back to work on my puzzle. And yes, I am wearing the same shirt that I wore yesterday because it looks like a crossword puzzle and I thought that was funny. Okay, what letter could go here? Mad, rad, had. There are a lot of different words that could fit here. Here we go. It's gonna be tad. Guys, it's tad. It's tad. And eat. Oh, that works. Okay. See, that's why this is not just a jigsaw puzzle. It's a really fun word game too. Oh man, so on this puzzle, you can really only work off of what you've already put in. And so I've ended up with a perfect rectangle still to go. Except for that one piece, which is missing, which I do not think is here. Wait, what is you? What is the clue for that one? Wait, no. This whole time, I thought this was a T with a chunk taken out of it. Would you look at that? It's my missing L. So it turns out I'm not missing any pieces after all. They're all here. Well, that was a very pleasant surprise. And now I feel really dumb. So that took me just over 4.5 hours, but I loved that. That was so fun. Okay, so this is one where I really should have done my research first, because when I was researching other crossword jigsaw puzzles, look what I found! Another version of this puzzle, but with instructions on the back. That would have been so helpful to have when I was solving this one. So the way that I thought this worked is not how this worked. The clues on the sheet do go in order of the crossword puzzle we ended up putting together. They just didn't put numbers on the puzzle pieces so that you couldn't just put those in order. And so you wouldn't know what letter every single clue started with. So apparently there are two ways that you can play this, either alone or competitively. To play alone, you choose a clue and try to come up with the answer, and then you find puzzle pieces to connect together to spell out that answer. Apparently, you're also supposed to get stickers with all of the numbers on them, and you're meant to stick those onto the boxes to keep track of which clues you've already answered. And then you just work your way through the jigsaw and the clue list simultaneously. So that's the part that I missed, that you're supposed to be referencing the clues as you come up with all of these answers. You're not supposed to just sit here and solve it as a straight jigsaw puzzle. And then the rules for playing competitively are essentially the same, except that you only have 3 minutes to assemble each word, and you get points for each letter that you get correct. However, I will say that you do have to be pretty good at crossword puzzles to be able to play that way. Like, I'm looking at these clues, and most of them are really, really hard. Like, for me, it was way easier to just do it as a jigsaw puzzle. Although, I will also say, I do think I might have accidentally come up with a fun puzzle idea. Like, I do think it would be fun to do a jigsaw puzzle that gives you a bunch of answers, and then you have a bunch of clues in random order, and then you have to match them up. It's like an easier take on a crossword puzzle. Anyway, on to the research. So I noticed a new name on this puzzle that I just had completely skipped over before. New Approaches Incorporated. I also realized in doing all of my Gamophiles research that with my parents' New York Times subscription, I have access to their entire online archive. So here is what I found from the New York Times and from searching for new approaches. So they must have released this puzzle a couple different times, because I found another version where the box is almost the same as mine, except the design is centered. And at the bottom, it says New Approaches instead of Lawson. Inside, you can see the stickers as well as the instructions, which would have been really great for me to have in my version. The clues look exactly the same, but then on the back, we have this whole extra section about having missing pieces, and they give the address. Now, in terms of other products, they released this 6-foot multi-bilingual crossword. The clues come in 4 languages, although all of the answers are in English. And look at this, it's like long rolls of paper that you just hang from the wall. Apparently they attach with Velcro. Were people in the 70s just obsessed with giant puzzles that you could hang on the wall? Like, remember I told you how Gamophiles also had a 6-foot hanging maze? Speaking of giant puzzles, they also released this version of that concept. Apparently, this one is a wipe-off version that comes with a dry erase marker. It's ideal for dorms, offices, reception rooms, playrooms. I'm so curious how many people actually solved the entire puzzle. There's also a 6-foot find a phrase, which is basically a giant word search. and the packaging looks very similar to the crossword. I also found this board game called The Last Word. I'm not going to read all of the instructions, but you can pause here if you want to learn more about it. And then I found ads for this version of a jigsaw crossword that comes packaged in a tube, but I couldn't find any photos of this product, and it's packaged a little bit differently in the two ads, so I don't know which one is more accurate. This ad from November '73 has a bunch of their products, and it's actually for Abercrombie & Fitch, which is kind of funny, knowing what that company became. We have the Shapeless Patterns Jigsaw Puzzle, which I've talked about on here before in my Rare Puzzles video. This puzzle, I think, is advertising what I have, although the drawing of the box isn't quite what my box looks like. So I can't be totally certain if that's just an artist's interpretation or if it's a totally different product. And then we have the 6-foot crossword, which I just talked about. And then finally, one more ad, which looks a little closer to the box that I have, but again, just drawn slightly differently. And this same ad actually shows a Gamophiles puzzle, so they were active at the exact same time. And that's all I've got on them. So clearly the Lawsons loved jigsaw puzzles and crossword puzzles. I'm gonna keep researching them. If anyone had any of these products or knows anything else about them, please get in touch. All right, and then for our third crossword puzzle jigsaw puzzle of the day, I'm going to be doing the Gamophiles Cryptic Crossword Puzzle. I talked about this in my recent video all about Gamophiles, and I went ahead and bought it, and it is so satisfying to see it in real life because all of the photos online were such low quality. So if you don't know, a cryptic crossword is a type of crossword that has wordplay in every single clue. So I'm gonna give you an example. In this puzzle, 23 down is upset by Adam's mate, a riddle for you to solve. So in cryptic crosswords, upset always means anagram. So we're gonna take we're gonna anagram it to get SI, and that is by Adam's mate, which is Eve. So we put those together and we get sieve. And then I had to Google this part, but apparently a riddle is a large sieve used to separate soil or compost particles. So that is the definition. So every single cryptic clue is going to have a definition and then also some wordplay making up the letters in the clue. Every time I do cryptics, I do a whole lot of very random Googling. So after I finish this, once again, I'll obviously have it scanned for you guys to solve yourself. But first, let's do it as a jigsaw puzzle. And yes, this is sealed, and yes, I will be opening it. I've gotten a few comments about that lately, about people who don't like that I open sealed vintage puzzles. And I get where you're coming from, but also I want to share these puzzles with the world, and you can't do that if you keep them in the plastic wrap. So, all right, I'm doing it. Sorry guys, sorry everyone, I'm opening it. Ooh, this is the first one I've opened that comes with the pen and a little booklet of explanations. So here's what the pen looks like. Even though this was released by Gamophiles, they've already started putting the Nordevco branding on here. Here's some scrap paper. Let's see if the pen still works. Not so much. I think if you wanted to write all over this puzzle, you'd have to get your own pen. But don't worry, even though I am opening it, I'm not gonna be writing all over the puzzle. I'm not a monster. So here we have the answer booklet. So we have the answers and an explanation of the clues. And I was gonna ask my mom and sister to write explanations of all the clues. I guess I don't have to do that. I guess they provided that. Okay, so I'm an hour and 5 minutes into it, and so far it has been so easy, and now it's actually getting really hard. You can see that I have pulled out every single little clue that I could possibly find. Like, I did the entire border, which has that distinctive edge, and I pulled out all of the numbers and got them in order. And I do have the picture right there, but I'm trying not to look at it. Here's just one more shot of the numbers. It is super satisfying. But then look at this. All of these are just lines and blocks, and so I think I'm gonna have to separate by shape. I think that's the only way I'm not gonna be here, like, literally all day. Okay, I finished it. I was actually at the end kind of racing against myself because I have a meeting in 15-20 minutes and I really wanted to get it done before that. And I did. So that took me 2 hours and 20 minutes, which I think is perfectly fine for a 500-piece puzzle. I wouldn't say I liked this one quite as much as the tax form puzzle, but I still do think it was a really fun puzzle. I mean, jigsaw puzzle, and then you get a cryptic on top of that. Okay, so I'm not going to get into the entire history of gamophiles again, because I already did that in my last video, and I'm going to have a follow-up video coming soon with even more information. I just wanted to do this one so I could tell all of you about cryptic crosswords. If you're interested in learning how to solve them, I'm going to link Big Dave's little guide to cryptic crosswords down below. It's a free website, it is very comprehensive, and I'll have this puzzle and the answer key available for you down below as well. But I will say, if you get stuck on this particular puzzle, maybe try a more modern cryptic crossword instead of a vintage one. The ones that me and my family likes are by Emily Cox and Henry Rathbon. So I did enjoy putting this puzzle together. However, I will say that I don't think it is quite as interesting as the other ones, just because you don't get anything new from the jigsaw puzzle. You know, you could solve this puzzle off of the box top. Like, there's no new information that you get from doing the jigsaw part of this. Whereas the Lawson one at least attempted to make it sort of a game where you're meant to do the jigsaw and the crossword simultaneously, and with the cross jig, if you get stuck, you can also do the jigsaw simultaneously to sort of give you a hint. So, okay, let's look at some other crossword jigsaw puzzles through the years that have done this idea in an interesting way. So in 1994, there was the Puguzzle crossword. This one has an interesting twist. So you solve the crossword on paper. Then when you put together the jigsaw, there are extra answers that are only partially filled in. And then there's a postcard in the box, and so you fill in the missing answers onto the postcard, and you send that in to be entered into a contest. Everyone who participates gets, are you ready for this? Are you ready? They get a pencil. But then there's also a grand prize drawing where you could win a computer, a vacation, a camera, or a cruise. So if anyone knows who won that grand prize, please get in touch. And then it must have been successful because there was also a Puzzle 2 in 1995. This time, everyone gets a button. And there was another grand prize drawing. I have to admit, I don't fully understand how the missing clues and answers work. Maybe I'll have to get one and then do a full-on feature here on the channel. Okay, we're going back in time again. This one is super interesting. So I was on Bob Armstrong's puzzle site, and this is the only place I could find any information about this puzzle. This was made by Crossjig in 1932, but instead of it being a traditional jigsaw puzzle, you have to assemble these Tetris shapes of letters to get them to form the words that answer the clues. You can pause and read the whole thing. It is a super interesting idea for a puzzle. Okay, so I also found this older Wentworth puzzle, and the cool thing about this one is that the whimsy pieces are letters. I would love to try that one out. It looks super fun. Then we've got one that is a 3-in-1 puzzle. So it's a jigsaw puzzle, but one side is a crossword and the other side is a word search. This looks super difficult. There aren't any added design elements, and the cut of the pieces looks very uniform. Although for the crossword, they did leave the numbers right there on the puzzle, so you could just put those in order. And that would at least get you started. Okay, this one also looks really difficult, but I kind of want to solve it. This is the 1500 piece Ultimate Crossword Jigsaw Puzzle. This came out in 1983. It is 4 feet long, and it is over 900 clues. Maybe I'll have to do that on here for Mother's Day next year. I guess if you're not going to have any sort of twist with the crossword puzzle itself, just go ahead and make it as giant as you possibly can. Okay, these mini puzzles, number one, I love the design on them, super retro. But number two, I learned from Anne Williams's book that this company, Strategy House, was actually an early version of the company that became Stave Puzzles. Stave is one of the most high quality and expensive wooden puzzle brands out there. So that's a fun connection and an interesting bit of puzzle history. And speaking of fun connections, I was looking at Anne Williams's illustrated guide to jigsaw puzzles, and I found this crossword jumble puzzle. This was released in the 30s by the company Hall Brothers, which, can you guess what it became? Can you guess? It ended up becoming Hallmark. Interesting that this one also has the Tetris-shaped puzzle pieces, like the one from Crossjig that I just talked about. So then, as we all know, Hallmark ended up going on to release Springbok puzzles during their most, highly collectible years. I really like this one, the world's most remarkable crossword puzzle. It came with 10 copies of the crossword on paper so that you could share them with all of your friends to solve. And unlike any of the other puzzles that I've shown, since the Crossjig back in the 30s, they put the gradient on the picture to make it easier to solve as a jigsaw puzzle and not just a sea of black and white squares. Also, for some reason, all of the black squares are actually photos of people's faces. I guess it was the 70s. So Springbok also released Double Dilemma, Question Box, and the Crossword 2-in-1 puzzle. These were all pretty standard, nothing super interesting to get into. And then they also did Double Acrostic, which I have right here behind me. This one is an acrostic crossword puzzle. I didn't get to solving this one in this video, but someday in the future. I promise I will get to it. Okay, rapid fire, just a couple more examples. In 1991, Bits and Pieces printed a crossword puzzle tournament puzzle onto a jigsaw. There is a double-sided one from England. Unfortunately, I don't really have a lot of information about this one. There's a USA Today crossword puzzle released by American Publishing Co. The New York Times released an official crossword jigsaw puzzle in a nice embossed tin, and it comes with a very cool pen. This one is shaped like a wine bottle, which is kind of fun. There were these released in 1968. They're only 400 pieces, so probably wouldn't be that difficult. And there is an FX Schmid puzzle with a dry erase marker and supposedly a wipe clean surface. Although I'm a little skeptical about how well that actually worked. And then again, I didn't get to it in this video, but the Synergistics Research Co. Released a New York Times crossword puzzle in 1983. The puzzle, though, is from 1942. It is the first ever New York Times crossword puzzle. So this is still sealed. This puzzle is fairly rare. One day, when I do my Synergistics deep dive, I'll solve this one and I'll show you all the details. And that's everything I was able to find. At least vintage ones. I'm sure there are a bunch of modern ones. And if you know any that are particularly interesting, feel free to tell me about them down in the comments. And also, if you like crossword puzzles, you're welcome for your new shopping list. So what do you think? Would you want to try a crossword puzzle jigsaw puzzle? I do wish more of them had been a little more creative, either in the way that the two puzzles interacted with each other, or just the decorative elements on the jigsaw puzzle, so that it didn't have to just be black and white. That's what I tried to do with my puzzle design, although now that I've done all of this research, I definitely could have added a little more color here in the middle. But either way, if you want to get one for yourself and try a crossword puzzle designed by me, you can download this image down in the description and then get it printed by Puzzle U using my promo code. All of the information is down in the description. And this would make a great Mother's Day gift for any mom who loves crossword puzzles. So if you want to see another hybrid jigsaw puzzle, last year I solved a sudoku jigsaw puzzle, and it was honestly one of the hardest puzzles I have ever done. I'll link that down below. Your code word for the comments will be crossword. Happy puzzling, and I promise in my next video, the puzzle that I do will have color in it. I've been doing a lot of black and white puzzles lately.